Hey, it's Jack Davidson from RE/MAX Crosstown. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something that we get a lot of questions about, and that's the whole subject of seller disclosures. So here's the premise. I really like the home and I'm interested in putting in an offer. But how do I know what I'm buying? I mean, doesn't the seller or the seller's agent have some kind of obligation to disclose certain things about the property? You know, when we're running around from place to place looking at homes, it can be a very exciting time and super easy to get kind of bedazzled and caught up in all the beautiful features of a home. You know what I'm talking about here, the granite countertops, the hardwood, the beautiful light fixtures, the huge master bedroom, not to mention the walk-in closets, ladies. Well, that's just the beginning, really. Things like foundations, wiring, plumbing, heating and cooling systems, while they're not as sexy, they should be just as important to the savvy buyer. So, what happens when you run into a defect? Well, defects basically come in two different flavors. In a recent article published by Joseph Richer, the Registrar of the Real Estate Council of Ontario, he puts it this way. Patent defects are those that are clearly visible, whereas latent defects are not apparent and might not even be discoverable by a home inspector or another expert. So here's some examples of patent defects. They could be a visible crack in a foundation wall, or missing safety railings, or even a visible stain that might suggest a roof leak. Now, here's the thing. The seller's representative really doesn't have to disclose anything patent to you because, well, it can be found during a home inspection, or it'd be most likely visible to you as a buyer. But it's up to you, really, to do your own research and ask the right questions. Now, a latent defect is something totally different. Think about the home that has the history of flooding, or fire damage behind a wall, or maybe there's been a structural issue that isn't visible without what we call an invasive inspection. In that case, the seller's only obligated to disclose the problem if they know about it, and if the defect could be deemed a serious risk to the health and safety of those who live in the home. So here's some examples. For instance, a structural defect that poses a risk of a wall collapse, or the history of flooding that might promote the growth of toxic mold. These situations would have to be disclosed. Now, on the other hand, say the home has a crack in the basement, and it could lead to water leakage at some point. Well, the house is still livable, no real danger of anything, therefore disclosure would not be required. So since the seller's disclosure obligations are kind of limited, it's important to take the necessary steps to identify issues for yourself, and that's where your sales rep comes in. Your realtor must take all reasonable steps to determine and disclose all the facts about the property that, number one, could potentially affect your decision to purchase it, number two, how much you might consider offering for it, and number three, what conditions you might want to include in your offer for protection. Now, that could include asking the seller's agent specific questions about certain issues, or inserting clauses in the agreement of purchase and sale that might require a review of documentation, or even some other form of research. So that brings us to the SPIS form, or the Seller Property Information Statement. Now, the SPIS provides information about defects, renovations, and other relevant information on the property based on the knowledge and the experience of the seller. But there's still one caveat to consider. The SPIS is really not the foolproof, ironclad, airtight document that some people think it is. For instance, number one, the seller is under no obligation to complete it, so don't assume it'll be available automatically. And number two, the information is only to the best of the seller's knowledge and belief. So even if a SPIS stated the home was in perfect condition, get your home inspection just to be safe. You know, a licensed home inspector is still the best way to determine if there are any real defects with the home that you're considering. I'm Jack Davidson. If you'd like any more information on this, or if you have any real estate questions, feel free to contact me directly at 705-796-5225, or you can visit me online at jackdavidson.ca. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.